I don't know how many different ways the AFC West is going to go. I don't know if maybe I'm the only one that is a true believer in Patrick Mahomes as the best player in this league on this podcast, apparently, but I comfortably think that Patrick Mahomes has proven himself, if not to be the best player in the league, certainly to be the last guy you want to be facing in the NFL on the other side of the field. But, once again, I think this division is going to be carried by Kansas City. Maybe Harbaugh somehow pluses up the Chargers. I don't know. I keep hearing about this Harbaugh somehow taking this team that got waxed by the Raiders last year. And, I understand that Justin Herbert wasn't playing in that game, but Justin Herbert has his own injury concerns now. I don't see how, just based on their depth alone, the Chargers are such a top-heavy team. Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa are great edge rushers in their own right, but they're also getting up there in age. And Justin Herbert has injury concerns. There's zero weapons around him. It's a good start to give him 2 bookend tackles, but once again, there's zero weapons around him. You're going to be facing Patrick Mahomes. He has his own questions as it relates to the weapons in Kansas City, but he's going to be able to stretch the field. That's not a question. Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice when he's back, that offense will be able to take the ball deep. And I don't think that the Chargers are going to hold up in a shootout. Maybe I'm wrong, but the Chargers would be the only team that I could think would maybe be able to hold up against the Chiefs. And I think that's stretching it quite a bit because the Chiefs have just dominated them for the past, ever since Mahomes has been doing what he's doing. The Chargers have never been able to hold up against the Chiefs, and I think that the tradition is going to continue. I don't think Harbaugh is going to change that.
I think one dark horse team that, I don't think is getting, in terms of, the splash from the offseason, and I think we might be flying a little bit under the radar, are the Las Vegas Raiders. I think this is a team that are both going to be able to push past. We talked about the shakiness of, the Chargers wide receiver room. Is Justin Herbert also going to be able to sustain himself for, 17 games and 18-game schedule? I think one more year of Antonio Pierce with Las Vegas. I mean, we saw how this team bought in near the end of the year. Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell alike. What did they improve around him? I think bringing in a guy like Brock Bowers is going to help them, at least remain competitive. I'm not 100% sure, if they're going to make the playoffs, but I think at least having, Gardner Minshew being arguably the clear-cut number just based on weapons. I'm not talking just talent, because I think Justin Herbert is a much more talented quarterback.
What is Gardner Minshew going to be better than Mahomes too now?
No.
Is he going to be a top AFC?
I think Gardner Minshew has, with what is around him, and Zamir White out of the backfield. I mean, he has proven himself as a serviceable enough runner. I think Gardner Minshew is the second best quarterback in the AFC West, and I think that is going to be something that that defense can lean on. And it's a team that was already bought in last year. How is Harbaugh going to gel with the Chargers and such a young, inexperienced wide receiver core? I think Las Vegas has a chance if they split one with the Chiefs. I mean, you never know. You could be looking at a wild card team, but I think they're the second best team in that division behind Mahomes.
We shouldn't discount that the Raiders did go into Kansas City and hang the last loss of the Chiefs season on them in Arrowhead on Christmas Eve against the Chiefs. And I think that was what solidified Antonio Pierce in that job. But I just want to clarify, you said Gardner Minshew is the second best quarterback in the AFC West? Did you mean third?
No, I'm saying
Justin Herbert?
I think based on roster construction, because Justin Herbert isn't throwing to Devontae Adams. And I think just based on how the team is built around him, he's also not throwing to maybe green around the gills, but Brock Bowers, I think just based on the weapons and what could be the offensive output that comes out of there, and with Zamir White and additions to the offensive line, I think Gardner Minshew, with how the roster is currently constructed, could be the second best quarterback in the AFC West. Pin it.
Pin it.
Yeah, so for me, I believe Justin Herbert is the second best quarterback in this division for sure. But
can't believe I did not expect this to be a debate topic, but
for me, the Kansas City Chiefs, this is their division to lose. But with that being said, I do think the Kansas City Chiefs have some serious flaws with their roster. First of all, I don't think they did anything to alleviate their tackle situation. I think Jawan Taylor was arguably the worst tackle in football last year. He's back playing, he's starting for them. And then they have a rookie left tackle, Kingsley Sumataya. I loved him. I believe he's out of Yale, maybe BYU, one of those schools. I love the talent, but he's a rookie. He wasn't necessarily one of the bigger tackles coming out of the draft this year. I'm seriously concerned about their tackle situation. And I think something that flew under the radar with the Chiefs last year is I think they are fundamentally a defensive first football team now that runs the ball first, takes care of the ball, controls the time of possession. And although they might have added some kind of versatility with the additions of Xavier Worthy and Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown is already hurt right now. I do not know how long or how many games Xavier Worthy is going to last. I mean, he is 160 pounds. So obviously,
soaking wet, wearing boots.
Yeah, I don't see him playing 17 games this year. That's not to say that I don't trust Patrick Mahomes or the offense. I just do think it's going to be a little bit different than the traditional Chiefs team that we've seen the last couple of years. Obviously, they were a defensive first team last year, but I just think there's a lot of change. They still haven't answered the question as far as who's going to be their stable bookend tackles this year. And in a lot of ways, this does remind me of the team that lost to the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl a few years ago, not to mention they're facing two of the better front sevens in the league twice this year in the Chargers and the Raiders. In regards to the Chargers, I know Khalil Mack and Bosa are getting up there in age, but I have to shout out the second-year man. His name is Tuli Tuipulotu. He's a dog. I think they have extremely talented edge rushers that are going to give the Chiefs problems. And I think the Raiders as well. Max Crosby is one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. I think he's a top 5 edge rusher in the league. I would not be surprised. Christian Wilkins as well. I would not be surprised if Kansas City went 4-2, maybe even 3-3 in the division this year. Exactly. And I think that's going to be something to watch. Obviously, I do think it's the Chiefs' division to lose. I wish Justin Herbert was fully healthy this year. But I do think there's still a lot to be said about the remaining teams. And I know we're not going to talk about the Denver Broncos much. Bo Nix did look like he could play in the NFL in his first preseason game. And I just want to shout out that running back room in Denver as well. It's a really talented group. And I think people are going to be surprised when they see Estime and Javonte Williams out there together. They're going to be a surprising offense with Sean Payton leading the way next season.
I'm glad we're touching on the Broncos because I really wanted to talk about this too, in that we are witnessing Sean Payton get exactly what he wants. We had the Michelin star, or thought to be Michelin star, now disgraced chef Russ in the kitchen cooking in Denver, and it went horribly wrong. And so they bring in Sean Payton to right the ship, and he says, I don't want the chef anymore. I want the quick order cook who will make it exactly how I want, exactly how I like it. And he doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. He doesn't have to create his own menu, but he'll make exactly what I want when I want it. And that's what Bo Nix is for Sean Payton. He can be the conduit. He can be the guy that has had enough reps. Like I said before, this is something that I know coaches are preferring when it comes to quarterbacks coming into the NFL. It was a big plus for Jaden Daniels was the amount of reps that they've had.
Shout out Brock Purdy.
In terms of Nick and Brock. Brock Purdy's the perfect example of this, where reps and experience at the college level, especially from the freshman year on, if you can get a quarterback who has the rare opportunity of being a starter and having consistent reps as a starting quarterback, learning to play quarterback consistently throughout his college career, that is prioritized in terms of these offensive coaches who aren't looking for a Justin Herbert, or he's not looking for a Josh Allen. He's not looking for a Justin Fields or even a Patrick Mahomes, some game-breaking quarterback, because they could just as easily turn into a Zach Wilson or a Johnny Manziel if it all goes wrong. So he wants the cool, collected game manager. Like I said, you don't need a Michelin star chef when you've got Sean Payton running the show. He just needs a fry cook to make the best burgers in town, and he'll be able to create a winning franchise, or so he believes. So we'll get to see, because I think that the Broncos are getting exactly what they wanted, which is Sean Payton is running the show. He has complete control over this organization. Bo Nix appears to be his guy, and we'll see if Bo Nix and Sean Payton can game manage their way to a successful season this year, because I don't think that they're going to be able to compete. Bo Nix could have the best season of his life, and I don't think that he's going to be able to win a shootout with Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes. This is going to have to be a game plan to success platform for Sean Payton and the Broncos. They're going to have to get crafty if they want to win, which I don't think they're going to win this season. But point is to say Sean Payton's finally getting what he wants.
The one thing that I think is going to benefit, a guy like Bo Nix and in that offense is that they're also going to try and work, Javonte. They're going to also try and ease Javonte Williams, back into, what he was, before he tore his ACL in 2022, almost off the bat, and should be 100% healthy going into the season. But that is why, you keep a guy like Jaleel McLaughlin, you draft a guy like Audric Estime to take some of the pressure off of Bo Nix, to where I think Sean Payton's a smart enough guy to where he's not just going to put everything on Bo Nix right away. I mean, Cortland Sutton is his number one wide receiver. I think you have bruiser backs in this offense that's going to help propel Denver to at least exceed expectations. Probably not win the division. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is still in the division. He's probably most likely going to win the division and then, play the Browns in the AFC Championship, but we'll get to that. But, I think that, I think that, Cortland Sutton is going to be there's a lot of guys in Denver to where I think if it is going wrong, they're going to be there. You'll see a lot of moves mid-season with guys like Cortland Sutton, maybe even Marvin Mims, maybe even guys like Greg Dulcich. And then you look on the defensive side of the ball. It's gonna be a lot of how Bo Nix's development is going to happen, because I don't think you're coming into the season. If you're the Denver Broncos and you're starting Zach Wilson, things have gone horribly, horribly wrong. That's my take on them. You've fallen on dark times.
Christian, what do you think about the Broncos?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I have to piggyback off you guys pretty much. It seems like they're just trying to build the team the way Sean Payton wants the team to be built. Doesn't seem like they're too concerned about the defensive depth right now. but I do like some of the pieces that they have offensively. But again, yeah, we don't have to spend too much time on Denver. I think they're going to be at the last team in this division, the worst team in this division. But I just did want to point out, like, Audric Estime is a significant draft pick that I think will help the Broncos in the long run. And as Michael said earlier, like, will truly help Javonte Williams. I think he's going to be better with less reps. I mean, more explosive with less reps throughout this season. And I think it's going to be apparent when they give Audric Estime those carries in between the tackles.
Fair. And I think my closing thoughts on the AFC West are going to be that Patrick Mahomes looks like the greatest quarterback in the NFL comfortably to me. Andy Reid looks like the best coach in the NFL comfortably to me. And every other team in this division looks severely flawed. Or at least they are deficient significantly in particular positions. When you have the Raiders, you have no quarterback. When you have the Chargers, you have no weapons. And when you have the Broncos, you have neither. You have nothing. You have a good coach. So I think maybe if you piece together the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos, they could put up a fight against the Chiefs. But separately, no. The Chiefs are dividing and conquering this division. I think that they'll comfortably be able to win the AFC West. I think their trouble is going to lie beyond their division. But I think that the AFC West is shaping up for the Chiefs to handle it and hopefully, for them at least, be able to carry home field advantage and take it away from Baltimore, who is going to be gunning for it on the other side.
But I just want to say, Pat, let's not forget that Matt Nagy is on this football team still.
It's not calling the plays. Matt Nagy's not going to get in Andy Reid's way.
He's gotten in the way. Yeah, I think he has gotten in the way a little bit. And then watch out the left tackle spot, man. Watch the left and right tackle spots all year. These aren't scrubs.
Watch Juwan Taylor jump early on every play.
Exactly. And then he's got to go against Max Crosby twice. He's got to go against Khalil and Bosa and the young dude twice. I mean, it's going to be tougher than I think people realize. And I love that they're trying to add more speed and copy what worked with Tyreek Hill. But at the same time, I do think the league is changing in a way where teams are going back to run offense. They're going back to controlling the time of possession. The Ravens are their biggest, I think they're their biggest competition. They're going to control the time of possession. That's what Harbaugh wants to do in LA. I'm sure that's what Pierce wants to do in Las Vegas. I think a lot of teams are going to be able to control the time of possession with the Chiefs this year. I would not be shocked if they only had 11 or 12 wins. That doesn't mean I don't see them losing the division. I don't see them not winning the division, but at the same time, I do think they're going to have some struggles early on and throughout the season because of that offensive line and those tackles.
And
Sure. I was just going to say Pat Mahomes can't beat you if he's on his back. That's kind of the argument
I was gonna say, and to piggyback off Christian's point, Pat Mahomes can't beat you when he's on the sidelines. So as Christian said, I mean, a lot of these teams just controlling the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage, and controlling the time of possession against the Chiefs. If you limit the opportunities, that's how does Patrick Mahomes not beat you when he's not on the field? And I think easier said than done, but geez, if you want the secret potion to beating the Chiefs, just keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, and maybe you got a chance.
That's the ultimate takeaway from this episode of the Bulletin Board podcast. If you want to win, try to keep Patrick Mahomes off of the opposing sideline or off of the field playing against you. Try to not face Patrick Mahomes if you can, and you'll usually have a pretty good time.